Hey everybody, it's Never, and today I want to talk about the changes that we've seen so far to Druids and Legion. Whoa! Alright, so Legion is coming up. We're not sure when, but I know it's going to be kind of amazing when it does. And so I wanted to talk about the changes that they've announced for Druid. Now, keep in mind, these aren't final changes, blah, blah, blah. Things are going to get balanced. Okay, that stuff's out of the way, so you know that I'm not making any promises here. So, the whole idea, I'm not going to read this whole thing for you, but the whole idea behind a Druid has been, early on in the game, it was that you're kind of jack of all trades, master of none. But, you know, it meant that you're going to heal in raids. So that was fun. Anyway, they wanted to take it kind of back to those roots and make it so that Druid is the sort of versatile thing that it should be. And so, one of the big things they're doing is they're making it so that you have these affinity talents. And I'll show you those in a minute. And each of them kind of gives you, it's like a multi-classing system almost, which I think is really cool. Druid started getting a little too specialized to where you had one main thing that you were good at, and then you had to use Heart of the Wild on a 6-minute cooldown to be even kind of good at something else, and it was really kind of tricky. And so what they're trying to do here is make it so that you can choose a secondary role to be really good at and not have to worry about being crappy at everything but one thing, which is kind of the whole idea behind Druids. So going into the changes for balance and looking at the main spells. Now there's videos out there. I'm not in the alpha. I wanted to make alpha videos for you guys, but I can't because the random number generator just didn't think it was my day. But anyway, I've been looking at some of them and I'm really excited about the changes to balance. I've been playing it a lot more lately as an off-spec, just when someone in my guild is tanking. And I find that the Eclipse system is a little cumbersome right now. Some people really love it and they're really good at it, but I find that it's kind of annoying to get into, and it's certainly not as elegant as it could be. And so what they're doing with a lot of specs, but specifically with balance, is they're changing it to this new kind of rage-like resource, which is Astral Power. Certain abilities generate it, certain ones spend it. Pretty simple. And if you want a really, really good overview of what that is like and how it works, look at the Fat Boss preview for Balanced Druids. They go over all the details in a really good way, but I'm liking the fact that you don't have to worry about where you are in your Eclipse bar. You simply manage your resources like you would for most other classes, which sounds like homogenization, but it's actually just a real nice quality of life thing, in my opinion. And then the mastery is a lot better than it was. And so going over to the talent calculator, there's some really cool talents. I'm glad to see them branching out with the names a little bit. I mean, we've got a couple of references to some Marvel stuff in Druid alone, and there's a few other classes that do that. But the way that they've arranged these talents, you've got your affinities right here, which is where you get a passive, but you also get a bunch of abilities. Now, the downside to this is we used to have a lot of these abilities here in the first place. And sometimes it doesn't really make sense. Like if you're balanced, choosing Feral Affinity is really only good for the passive, because you're never going to do as much damage in Feral, in cat form as you would in your Moonkin form. So the only time it's really sensible is if you're going from one role to another outside of the passive. And I'm not really sure how to make that really make sense. It's really just the two DPS specs that are the ones that don't fit together, but the passives they give you are really great. And so overall, I really like this change. It seems like maybe they could make a little more sense between the two DPSs, but other than that, it's great. And then all the other talents, I think the places that they've moved around and the way that they're arranged is a little bit better than it was. And the new talents in general are really nice. I really hope that in Moonkin form, you get the ability to bound backward out of combat. It was really, really annoying when you had to either have a target or be in combat to do that, and that's the way it is on live, and I'm kind of hoping that changes. It's sad to lose the Magic Mushroom. It used to be you could Magic Mushroom and then you could Wild Charge to it and get up places, but that's gone, unfortunately. Anyway, moving on to the next spec. This is Feral. Now, I mained Feral for a long time, and so I'm a lot more familiar with this spec than I am with Balance. and not very much has changed here. In fact, it's kind of hard to find anything that really is changed. It's pretty good right now. I mean, anyone who's going to say ferals aren't in a good place doesn't really get how overpowered they've been in this last expansion, and even a little bit the one before it. But things are fine here. Looking at their talent calculator, how do I change the talent calculator in this? Okay. Looking at their talent calculator, it looks like a pretty good talent calculator, except for one really big thing. Can you spot it? Can you spot the weird thing that they're doing with the feral talents? Right there. What is Savage Roar doing as a talent? Because let's take a look at what's competing with it. We have Savage Roar, which is straight up 40% more damage done. Okay. And then we've got Blood Talons, which is like, oh, casting Healing Touch causes your next 2 melee abilities to do 30% additional damage. Do you mean to tell me that after I cast a spell that is only occasional, my next 2 abilities, only 2, do 30% more damage, whereas if I use this, they do 40% more damage just cuz. So that's awful compared to that. And then this, Omen of Clarity affects the next 3 abilities. So it means that you get more times where you're gonna be energy capped. It's just, it doesn't add up to me. I'm thinking that there's no way that these 2 are final compared with this. I think they'll probably have to buff the base damage abilities, because right now the way that the feral abilities are balanced is they expect you to have Savage Roar up, and so if they were to make all of the abilities do 20% more damage, and then Savage Roar gives you 20%, and then maybe this gives you like 40%, this does I don't know what else, that would be competitive. So that's kind of strange, but otherwise there's some cool stuff in here. I mean, look at this thing. That messes with the way that your swipe works. And I think that stuff like this, where they add an ability in as a talent, and that changes the way you play your rotation, is a really cool thing. There was a tweet or an article written by someone, oh gosh, I don't even remember who, but anyway, they were talking about how the way that specialization is right now, and like Flavor of the Month specs has forced people to not really try out as many different builds as they possibly could. And it's really kind of a sad thing, because I think that one of the real great things about this game is how many different things there are that can be good and viable. Let's see, here it is. It's Blizzwatch. This guy that runs, or at least is part of the Ask Mr. Robot team. So that was the guy talking about that, and you can go on Reddit and find the article. It's real easy to find. But I really agree with what he was saying, where we need better choices and we need people to branch out and try more things. So anyway, Feral is fine. Don't even worry about it. If you like Feral, you're going to be happy. It's all good. They just need to tweak a few things to make it make a little more sense. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, well, choose Savage Roar, idiot. Because I like the idea of them having Savage Roar as an option so that it's not something you have to take. Alright, so on to Bears. Now, Bears obviously the spec I know best right now. And my feelings on Bears are interesting. So they go over right here how it didn't make a lot of sense that Bears were about dodging things. Because, I mean, have you ever seen one? They're not very dodgy. But they're really about just kind of standing there and taking a good hit. And so they're changing that. Bears are not about dodge. They're about buffing their armor up or just absorbing damage, which is great. On the other hand, you had Brewmaster Monks, which were supposed to be like Drunken Master stuff. If you're familiar with any of that sort of lore, they're supposed to be about, wait for it, dodging things. So they've kind of switched those, which is a really good idea. Thematically, it works much, much better. Most of the stuff for Bears hasn't really changed as far as how you play it, just the way that it works. Instead of having Savage Defense, which gives you a better chance to dodge, and having Frenzied Regeneration, which means that you don't have to worry about Savage Defense all that much in a lot of cases once you get some gear, now they've got two different defensive abilities. One of them is called Iron Fur, which just increases your armor by 100%, and the cool thing is it lasts 6 seconds and it can overlap, so meaning like you can start one up, and then 3 seconds later, if you get 40 more rage, you can start another one up, and then so for the next 3 seconds, you've got 200% more armor. And then 3 seconds, when that's done, the first one is done, you still have 100% more armor because the second one is still going. So if you have a really high influx of rage, it may be possible to keep 2 stacks of this up fairly indefinitely, which could be kind of cool. The other thing you have is the Mark of Ursal, which reduces your magical damage taken by 30% for 6 seconds. I would like to see this one overlap as well. I think it'd be kind of cool to do that. Up to 60% damage reduction from magic, but at least it's something, because as it was before, it was really hard to deal with magical damage as a bear. And then finally, Frenzied Regeneration has been redesigned. It's a 20-second recharge with 2 charges, and it heals you for a bunch of the damage you just took, like 100% of all the damage you took in the last 6 seconds over 6 seconds. So it's kind of like sort of an inverted stagger effect, which may have been a result of messing with Monk versus Druid and changing the themes of that. Anyway, I really like how the defensive side of bears has gotten. It's really cool, and I like the Nature's Guardian increases maximum health and healing received by 40% with, you know, an average amount of mastery. That's really good too. I still kind of hope we have Ursa Major just because I liked how it made you bigger, which was cool, but either way, I'm really happy with the tanking side of defensive changes. And so then we get to the offensive side, and there's some really cool stuff, and then there's something that's kind of weird. So the cool thing is, it looks like we don't have Fairy Fire anymore. Instead, we just use Moonfire, which makes a lot of sense to consolidate that, because moon lasers are way cooler than just fairy sparkles. But I hope, as a lot of people have said, I hope the laser comes out of the bear's mouth or eyes. It would just be the greatest thing ever to shoot mouth lasers, to shoot like mouth moon lasers as a bear. I mean, I probably wouldn't even care about my actual concern with the changes here if that was a thing. But my concern here is, and this is probably going to be fixed to tuning, but take a look at this. You see, one of the things I like about Bear right now is you can literally fill every global cooldown with something useful to do. Well, right now, these guys are probably, these defensive ones are probably going to be off the global cooldown. I mean, let's be real here. They always are, your active mitigation and stuff, because you've got to throw those in real quick. But then you've got Mango, which is 6-second cooldown. All right, so that's 4 global cooldowns before you can do another Mango. You've got Lacerate, which is now a 3-second cooldown. Okay, and then you've got Thrash, which is now a 6-second cooldown. Now, I'm going to be honest, that was needed. And it now also applies Lacerate to everything. So it's basically like Bear Thunderclap. And I'm cool with that because for a long time, Bear tanking in AoE was just run up there and thrash, 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 thrash. Okay, that's fair for it to go back to being something that's kind of reasonable, 6-second cooldown. I'm with you there. However, what am I going to do now? Because I do not have Revenge. I need Bear Revenge to deal with this, or I at least need Lacerate to not be on a 3-second cooldown. So, I mean, we could either reduce eliminate the cooldown on Mangle, but that seems a little too powerful. Maybe make Mangle by default hit 3 targets, even though, like, Berserk isn't a thing for bears anymore, so they've just got Son of Ursoc, the Incarnation, which basically does the same thing Berserk did, which is kind of weird because it's just an offensive cooldown, so I think there's still some work to be done with bears. There's a few things that just don't really seem to make a lot of sense or add up, but on the defensive side, really great changes. So going over here to the talents, I'm also liking what I'm seeing here. Putting Pulverize down here is a really good idea, but I'm still worried that it's going to take a lot longer to get all those stacks of Lacerate up. And so I may not be as inclined to take Pulverize because after I consume 3 stacks, it takes like forever to get them all back up, where it used to just be like boom, 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 there they are. And I know that Thrash applies 1 stack of Lacerate, but it's still not quite that good. I mean, you got to really plan it out. Lacerate, Thrash, then Lacerate, but it's kind of tricky, and that's only on 1 target, so maybe not so great. And then Brambles is kind of sweet because it's basically like passive Thorns, which is kind of nice. It reflects damage, I like that. And then this guy is just like tons of rage from Lacerate, which is cool. Then you got your normal stuff, except this guy who's like, oh, Stampeding Roar all the time, pretty sweet. And then affinities and hitting stuff, and this is like more Marvel stuff. And this is like random Moonfires, and again, Bear Laser, gotta be bear laser. And so then, you know, these things are pretty normal. Check them out. I expect some of these to really be reworked a lot. Bristling fur is kind of strange. I mean, I don't know if I would ever really take this. But then lunar beam, that's kind of weird. Big old moon laser from the sky or something. It's pretty cool. I mean, I bet it's gonna look like a moon version of what is that thing called? Solar beam. So yeah, lunar beam. It's probably about like that, which is kind of cool. Anyway, overall, I'm real happy with a lot of the stuff they got for bears, but I do have a couple of concerns, which is what took up the most of this time. So let's move on to the spec I know probably the least, which is restoration. Now, I mean, I can't even really say too much about this. It looks like it's not that different. There's some little quality of life changes that I can see here, but overall, it looks like it's kind of about the same. It just seems like they're taking some of the old stuff that it used to have and bringing it back as optional talents. And so if there's a restoration druid out there, could probably chime in on this. But I mean, like, Flourish is back. That's cool. And then, like, I don't know, Healy things. So double rejuvenations at level 15 is pretty sweet. But anyway, I mean, the real winner for restoration is, I mean, everyone's going to be taking it as their affinity. Let's be real. I mean, Ysera's gift is way too awesome to pass up. You might need one of these here and there. And it's cool that you can change the talents now, where it's like just changing Death Knight presences to get the speed buff while you're running through ICC to get to the next wing or something. And that's kind of neat. Or then there's like this. Now you take a look at this, okay? If you go Feral and you take Balance Affinity, increases the range of all your abilities by 5 yards. Now think about that. That means that you can be Kitty Cat and you can run fast, okay? Because you get that 15% passive movement just because. That means you can stay out of range. You can kite people in PvP. You can hit them and they can't hit you because your claws are like 5 yards long now. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, overall, I'm real happy with the changes I'm seeing for Druid, and I've got some, you know, reasonable confidence that they're going to fix the stuff that needs to be fixed. Either way, it'll be playable and effective, but there is some stuff that could go a little bit better from what I've seen. I'm also seeing like some cool looking armor, which is just incarnation, but maybe it'd be cool if there was like a glyph or something to keep it on all the time. Alright, so I also wanted to talk about like the artifact weapons, and also this armor that I was never able to get because I wasn't really doing anything at the time, so I hope it comes back someday. I know all the people that got it are like, no, I don't want it to come back because it won't be special anymore. I want to be special too. So okay, the balanced druids get the Scythe of Elune, which is pretty cool, and you can watch the quest to go get this on YouTube. I won't spoil anything, but it's really neat. We get to go some cool places and meet some new people. And so that's cool. Then there's the Fangs of Ashmane. Now, I mean, if they were the fangs of like a night elf chick, it'd probably pronounce Ashmane a little differently. But the cool thing is, they changed the way that your form looks. So like the claws of Ursoc for bear druids, they change your bear form, and the Fangs of Ashmane change your cat form. We'll look at those in a minute. Then finally you get Gunir, or I don't know how you say that. I really don't. But this is the mother tree, or like a branch from the mother tree. I mean, they're pretty cool. So we get more artifact weapons than anyone, which means we're probably the best class. So there's that. But anyway, I want to jump in here and take a look at this. So here's some Fangs of Ashmane. Take a look at that thing. It's a dagger, and it's green, but like the pictures don't do it justice, okay? So there's some videos of this stuff that you can find on MMO Champion to go look at, and I would recommend going and taking some time to look at that. I mean, this video would be like 5 hours long if you look at all those things, so we're just gonna look at them quick. But you can see that they're, holy crap, you can see that they're kind of neat, but they have like that glowy edge thing going on, and I mean, but then the other cool thing is, here's the way that the cat form changes. I mean, you got like a troll one and like a night elf one and a different colored ones. And so some people are like, well, are they locked to a race or whatever? I'm like, no, they're not locked to a race. Come on. Everyone else gets to change the look of their artifact and the color. So I mean, take a look at this, okay? We've got this look, and look at all the colors for it. And then we got this look. I mean, that's a wood cat. Okay, I mean, what are you even gonna do to that? It's a wood cat. Set it on fire. That's what. But then there's different colors. Like here's like the whole season. Here's summer, and there's fall, there's winter, and there's, I don't know, like later in winter. So then there's this one, which is like, look how feathery he is. He's kind of great. Tiger stuff and whatnot. I mean, these are really awesome looking cat forms. And so I'm kind of worried, like, when Legion ends, if we hang our artifact up, do we lose these awesome looking animal forms? I'm gonna be sad if we do. But anyway, if we pop down over here, here's the Guardian one. Now it's this fist weapon, okay? And it looks pretty grisly, like kind of like my bear slippers that have big old bear talons. Maybe one day I'll show those in a video. Come on. And then there's more of them. Like these would totally match my transmog right now, and that's cool. But there's a bunch of these different ones, and they're all cool. So now we'll look at the bears themselves. So this first bear here is like halfway monk bear. I don't like him at all. Like some people may love this bear. I don't like him one bit. I just don't like anything about him. So we're gonna skip past this goofy looking bear and get to like the weirdest bear you ever saw. Look at that thing. It's a stone bear. I don't even know what to say. But you can guess that all kinds of bears are gonna have macros so that when they like go into this bear form, they're like, rise mountains. Cause yeah, I mean, what else did you think of? So there you go, stone bears. But then we get laser bear. Laser bear is sweet. Check him out. He's got lasers all over him. Look at those lasers. Laser bear. What a champion. Snow frost laser bear. And then we got this one. I mean, how cool is that bear? And all the different colors for that bear? This one's gonna be the PvP one, I just know it. And then there's this bear who's got like skeleton stuff on him. It's like, haha, undead druid or something. Look, I mean, he's just, that bear is wearing the remains of his fallen adversaries. What a weirdo. But yeah, there you go. There's bears there. All these different types of bears. Different colors. I think, oh, and yeah, here's this tree. So this is Gonir. Different ways that it comes and looks. Oh, there's a special one. Much better. So, I mean, there's some cool looking stuff here. And you can still transmog this action to look how you want if you don't like this. And I think it's kind of neat that we're going to have fist weapons as a bear. And I hope that if I transmog that fist weapon into something, that it'll double fist weapon something else and, you know, behave nicely, just like daggers for cat form. And I wouldn't mind it at all if they just kind of kept it that way, because agility daggers would work really nice between rogues and druids. And then fist weapons, I mean, something else has to use fist weapons. Let's be real here. Nothing uses fist weapons. Okay, so more staffs of Gehanir and whatnot, and then, you know, I mean, you've seen them. You get what they look like. But here we go, Scythe of Elune. Now look at the lasers around it. Pretty awesome. I'm really liking the Scythe of Elune a lot. Look how much better it gets. See, this one's like, yeah, Scythe of Elune, whatever. This one's like, oh yeah, Scythe of Elune, check it out. And then, after you see the colors, it starts to get kind of wild. I mean, look at that thing. It's got a black hole in it, okay? Don't mess with it. Black hole. And then there's this one coming up. Wait for it. There. Oh, wait. Okay, so there's more of them down there somewhere. But, yeah, here we go. Look at that. Scythe of Elune with, like, Misty Scythe, which is pretty sweet. I mean, that's what like, the blood of night elves? I don't even know. What's that? Ragnaros? That's all that's left of him. And then there's this one, which has got the moon in it, which is pretty cool. This is a green moon. This is a purple moon. Pretty cool. And then, like, you know, another normal looking moon. It's pretty sweet. So anyway, those are the artifact weapons that we get, and they're really awesome. I'm really happy with them. Really excited about the way they look. I don't know if I'll be doing much transmogging just because of how sweet these things look, but I can imagine, like, if I was a hunter, I'd be doing some transmogging because, like, all of these bows look weird. I'm sure someone out there really loves them, and I mean, they're not bad, but they're just, they don't catch my eye like this thing. Look at that. That's eye-catching. So there you go. There's the artifact weapons for druids. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to show you was the class hall for druids. This is called the Dream Grove. It's like, I told you druids are the best because we get 4 artifact weapons, but I mean, here's the secret, you guys. We already had Moonglade, And so now we get somewhere that's even better than Moonglade. Check this place out. It's really awesome. I mean, unless you have allergies, then it may not be so great, but I bet the druids have like some sweet like druid antihistamine, and they probably need to take that pretty regularly to stay asleep in the Emerald Dream, so it's all good. So, I mean, take a look at this place. It's got like this lake here, and then it's got like that cat inside those branches, or I guess they're roots. There's someone with a Scythe of Elune. If you are this person in this screenshot, then please like leave a comment, because I would love to tell everyone who you are. And then there's a cat sleeping, you know, that's what they do, like 22 hours a day. And then look at, I mean, there's centaur chicks in there. We got our own centaur chicks, so there you go. That's nice. There's a close-up of their backsides. And then there's this place where look at all these artifact weapons that you can get. And there's a ghost stag. He's cool. It's probably the Spirit of Maloran or something. And then you got this laser chicken doing goodness knows what to that poor wolf or cat mount right there. It does not look like it's a willing transaction. And then you've got more stuff and just druidy things. Look, there's a druid library. I mean, you can guess the plants are a little overgrown. How about that? And I don't know what there is to do in here, but I hope there's like druid games or something to play, or at least somewhere to hang out. Now, one place that kind of might suck for this is like your friends can't come in here. So you can't really RP here with your friends, so hopefully people can like RP with other druids from who knows where in here. But anyway, I'm really happy with the way this place looks. It looks like a pretty sweet place to hang out. There's, you know, wooden cat statues, so there's that. I mean, there's a wooden statue of a tree, but it's really just a tree. He could wake up at any minute. So all in all, if you're a druid and you like druidy things, this place is pretty awesome. Bronze dragonflight representing or something right there, because I bet they like druids. And then there's some hippogriffs there, and I hope that you can get a cool new hippogriff or something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much all of it for the Druid Class Hall. It's a pretty awesome place, and I'm really excited for it and happy about it. Alright, so finally I wanted to show you what the artifact, weapons, talent things look like. So you start at this big circle one, and then you go and you branch out however you want, and eventually you'll fill them all up. Then you got these things, which you put like some powerful deal in and it does a thing. You know, it's not really certain exactly what they're going to be like in the end, so I'm not going to go into much detail, but I'm going to talk about some of the stuff in here with these. Now, there's some of these talents that don't really have much of a name yet, like something cool goes here, so I'm hoping Scion of the Night Sky lives up to that awesome name. But anyway, so for balance, you got this thing called New Moon. Now, this is really cool, because when you cast it, it's instant cast, and it's a 10-second cooldown, and it does like, okay, now it says 1 damage there, but you can believe that it's not going to be 1 damage when the thing comes out, okay, so don't be crazy. It does some damage, and then it turns into Half Moon, so 10 seconds later you can cast Half Moon, and Half Moon does even more damage, and it's like a 20-second cooldown. And then Half Moon becomes Full Moon, and Full Moon does just a big old pile of damage, and you can actually watch it in that video that I talked about earlier from Fat Boss. This moon, I mean, it just comes on down like Majora's Mask and wrecks whatever you're casting that at. So this ability is really cool. And so that's the first one you get, and then you branch off. It's like, oh, look at that, Healing Touch is better, and Moonfire does something. You know, you can look at these. They're all on Wowhead and MMO Champion. So go take a look at them. And there, oh, Pink Floyd reference right there. I like that. So anyway, let's go move on. And oh no, we can't see the one for Ferals yet. They don't have it. But the bear one. So here's some interesting stuff in here. Like this thing makes your claws all bloody and stuff, and it makes them do meaner things. And you branch out, like here's more stamina, and this one does like Moonfire, gives you a bunch of rage, which is pretty sweet. And then more bleed damage, and Iron Fur's better, roots and stuff spread. I mean, it's pretty cool. You know, look at this joke, huh? Right to bear arm. I love it. So, where's that one? There's better mango. So there's some cool stuff in here, and you can do what you like and go in whichever direction you want, but eventually you'll get everything. So that's pretty cool. And then finally there's the Resto one, and again, I don't know Resto that well, but you look at this, it used to be the mushroom thing, that's what we've got right now, but in Legion it's going to be flowers, which is more Resto Druidy. But yeah, I mean, casting helpful spell has a chance to sprout some flowers right there. So that's kind of neat. It's just a passive and it just works. So there's some other things here that you get, which is pretty cool. But I mean, overall, these things look really neat. The thing that I guess I'm not even really concerned with, because I expect it, but at some point it's gonna be like, oh man, I gotta get all this artifact power. All my talents are filled out, so now what do I care about artifact power for? Oh yeah, my off spec. Okay, all my specs are filled out. What do I care about artifact power for? And maybe you won't, or maybe artifact power will help you improve the item level of your weapon, which would be something that would be eternally useful as long as you care about that weapon. So it may just carry on like that. So this has been a general overview of all the new things coming for Druids, and overall I'm pretty happy. I think that they're going in a really nice direction for the class. I like the things that I've seen, and the things that I'm a little concerned about are things that look like they're probably due to ongoing development and not being finished yet. So I mean, we can't even play Guardian Druids yet, which is where most of my concerns lie, because that's obviously the spec I care about the most. Anyway, overall I'm pretty happy, and leave a comment and let me know what you think, if you agree with some stuff or if you have some other ideas, what stuff looks good, what stuff looks bad, especially if you're a resto druid and you know that part better than me. And then do all that nice stuff that helps me out, like the video and send it to your friends so that they can see it too. And again, thanks for watching, and okay, thanks, bye.